Hi, this is Anders from In Flames, and you're watching and listening Tell Us Rock.
We are in Stockholm, and we're sitting here with Anders Fridén, the singer and one of the big names from In Flames. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Well,
I love doing interviews all day, so I'm doing fine.
That's perfect. Well, you should do fine, because last night we were able to pre-listen to the new record Foregone, which will be released 10th of is it 10th of February?
10th of February.
10th of February.
Next year.
Yeah, so it's a couple of months left.
Yeah.
It feels like a little bit like going back to the roots, mixing it up with, of course, some really new, fresh material. What can you tell the fans that haven't heard it yet?
It's going to be a good mixture between the past, the present, and the future. I don't think it's anything about chasing or going back to the roots. I think we always have the roots with us. It just happened to come out in different ways, and we never want to do the same thing again and again and again. And I feel everything's in line. I think everything's on point with this album, and we've obviously had a pandemic in between where we had to, a little bit of soul searching, maybe look at ourselves, where we are as a band, as people, and we were extremely hungry getting into this album and excited just to be in the room together. And yeah, I think you can hear it. I hope people hear it when they listen to the music.
It's you and Bjorn who writes the material for the albums. Can you tell us about the process of making a song?
Well, it can start from just a riff or a vibe, a feeling, or a lyric part. Like, where do we want to go? Where do we want to take this song? And also, we don't want to write 12 songs that sound the same. We write an album. Really early on, I kind of get a vibe of the feeling and the order of the songs. Like, okay, we have this fast song, now we need this type of song, now we need something that's a little bit different. Because I think listening to an album, that maybe that's an old school way of looking at it, but I always think of vinyl, like side A, side B, and I don't really think about this Spotify playlist where you can just jump back and forth. I know people listen to it in that way, but to me I want you to listen to from the beginning to the end, and then you're like, what do you feel? And I want to always take the listener forward, like dynamically, like one song should give the other song some air and a vibe.
Well, that's great to hear, because I think that is kind of unique when it comes to rock music as well, because a lot of people still listens to vinyls. You release the records on vinyl, and I think a lot of people they're tired of the singles. They want an album. They want to hold something in their hand and listen, as you say, from start to the end.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really control how people listen, but as an artist, as the one that creates, that's how I want to present it. And then it's obviously up to whoever, like, you listen to it however you feel. But to me, that is very, very important. And I think metal fans in general are pretty loyal to their bands, and they still go out and buy whether it's a CD or a vinyl. And obviously we've seen the vinyl sales, skyrocket the last few years. So the vinyl plants can't follow. It's a long, you have to wait 6 months to get a like vinyl.
Yeah. When you write a song, do you know when you finished it, like, okay, this is gonna be a hit? Can you feel that?
It's still, I mean, I think writing hit music, we're in the wrong genre. That's not.
I mean, hit music for In Flames.
Yeah, well, we always do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. So don't get me wrong.
No.
Get me wrong.
I guess it depends. I mean,
or skip the word hit. Make it more popular song then.
That's even worse. I think it's just a feeling. Like I know when it's done. You know, there's some songs like. Let's take like Great Deceiver from the new album. That was one of the. That's when we were writing it and like in the middle of the whole session, it felt like, oh, this is a little bit too flat. It doesn't do. It went from like one of my least favorites, and then we worked it to becoming one of the favorites. You know what I mean? So it changes over time, and you just know when it's right. Like. So that's why I feel like when the album is done, it's like I'm happy and 100% sure within myself that this is I gave it all. So when we release it, I'm confident and good with whatever is the outcome of whatever people think, because I am done.
Yeah.
Now to me, this album is still mine, even though you heard it.
Yeah.
But on the 10th of February, it's not mine anymore. It's on its own journey. It's someone else's album.
Yeah, I like that sentence. That's it feels like. I mean, is it that kind of process for you making the songs? Like when you finished it and when it's been released, then you kind of lean back and okay, now I will leave it to the fans.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, we'd had this with us now since April. It's been there and. I want people to hear it, but I understand the process too. Like we want to release the album with vinyls. We don't want to release the album with, our album is out, but you have to wait 4 months to get it. I want to have everything, like this is supposed to be presented in a certain way. Like everything has to be as perfect as it is for me, or for us. And now, next year, we're ready,
Back to reality once again. To break, to reset our brains. Times are changing for the worse. We are doomed, we are cursed. Nothing but pain. This is the
Do you have to be a perfectionist to be able to write music?
Well, I mean, that's a broad. I mean, perfection to who? To me.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel like you often maybe you start create something and you do some small changes and then maybe
I would never release anything that I don't feel doesn't speak to me. And that means on every level of the band. Like, if I don't agree with the guitar or the drums, I will say so, and so it has to be. That not being said, that I'm like go in and point, like tell people to play a certain way, but it's a relationship too that Björn and I've learned through the years, this mutual respect and understanding of where we want to take it and where we want to go, and we have like 100% respect for what we do and for each other. And perfectionist, well, yes, to me, I has to be perfect to me. Perfect is such a weird word. Just has to feel right.
Yeah,
it's just a feeling. It's different. I can never explain how we. Like you asked me before, how we create our music. It's different. It just happens.
Yeah. Well, that's not so easy to understand for someone who isn't that, who's not writing that kind of music.
No, but you have to be part of it. Like I am a huge fan of Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails, and I have no idea what he's doing. I just know it speaks to me, but I would love to be a fly on the wall to understand, because I don't think even if he sat next to me and tried to explain to me, I would still not understand, because you have to be in the room to feel the electricity and understand every step, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that was one of my questions. What kind of music you listen to, and what kind of music you get inspiration from?
I don't think I get like I can listen to other. Lately I've been listening to a lot of ambient electronic music, because that's a genre I wasn't that familiar with, and it gave me. Speaking of vinyls, I've been buying vinyls like crazy, because it was such a new genre to me, and it's like I got the same feeling that I had when I started listening to death metal. Everything was new, right? I was searching, and I was like, find this band and this band and this band and this artist, and it's like, wow. And they were painting pictures without words, and to me that was such a fresh. I can make up my own whatever I feel about this music. Like, ooh, that's my brain is just starting to just work like crazy. But I think that not inspire me in the sense like I want to make that music within Flames. It's more inspire me to give myself a breather, to not think about the music in Flames. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if I was only listening to bands that sound like us, I don't think that would benefit my role or our music at all. You know?
Sounds fair.
To be too narrow-minded, I don't think that's good for you. You have to be all over the place. At least for me.
How did your music career start?
By accident. Well, obviously it wasn't a career at that point, but it's. So I grew up in a place called Bildal, which is 20 kilometers outside of Gothenburg, south of Gothenburg. And me and my friends, who eventually ended up in Dark Tranquility, that band, we were all living in the same neighborhood, and we started listening to heavy metal like all together pretty much. And there was tape trading, and we went to shows and stuff, and then, you know, like young boys, like we want to be part of the scene and want to, you know, like, oh, I can play guitar, I can play drums, I can play bass, and whatever, and we talked about that back and forth. And then I think I was on a vacation or whatever, and then I came back after that vacation. And they formed a band already, you know, like, but they were my friends, so I followed them to their first rehearsal that they were gonna have, but the singer didn't show up. So I said I can do it, which it was the only position that was open. So of course I couldn't do it, but that was my way in, you know, like, okay, cool. Now, and then we just started, and that's, you know, it's funny the way things work out.
Yeah, well, that is kind of a by accident, as you said.
No, for sure. So, and
a good accident.
Yeah, and you know, here I am, you know, many years later.
But when did you realize that you could actually make a living out of it then?
That was, I think it was not good living, but at the end of the 90s and early 2000, and that's when we didn't have to search for jobs. But it was a struggle in the beginning, like mid 90s and end of, like towards the end, it was fairly tough, you know, like.
Yeah.
And you have to have a good connection with whoever you went to. You got that like semester job or that short term job, and you have to have a manager that understood that you were gonna need to go away, and so it was kind of difficult.
Yeah.
So it was yeah. I mean, we wanted it, all of us. We wanted it so much that it didn't matter if you barely, you know, I didn't have much food in my fridge, and I lived in a shitty apartment, but it didn't matter because I was part of a band, and you know, it was big dreams.
Well, that's amazing. That's, I mean, that's a great story. And I mean, you were also, I mean, you were part of creating actually a new sound in like heavy metal, you know, the Gothenburg sound. Just kind of briefly, tell us a little bit about that time.
Well, we had no idea what we were doing. We were just incorporating like German speed and thrash with new wave of British heavy metal and death metal that we heard, and we put that in a melting pot. And we know because there was a scene in Stockholm happening at the same, all kind of a little bit before us, and we wanted to incorporate more melodies from Iron Maiden and stuff like that. And then it just happened. But this is, in the news didn't travel as fast because this is pre-internet, or in the very early days of internet at least. So we were in a bubble, which I think it's very beneficial in a way, because we didn't have that much influence by anyone, and except for other guys in the Gothenburg scene, and I think we've inspired each other in certain ways. And when I remember like Entomb getting deal, and some of the Stockholm bands getting deals, and At the Gates got a deal, and you saw it's actually possible to get outside of Sweden, and you know that made you hungry, and you want to, you know, fight for it. But we had, that's something which is very important. We had places to play too, you know. Yeah. There was youth centers, there was clubs, shitty clubs, but there were still clubs, and then there was like Valvet, which was an extremely important breathing ground for bands, and small place like 150, I think it was like 120, 150 people that could get inside, but it was just such a important place to have. And I mean, now many years, I don't really know how it is these days, but reading about how they kill clubs and close down because people are either complaining or it doesn't, the economy is not right, it makes me really sad, because young bands need places to play and grow and learn the skills, and like it's very easy to create an album in your bedroom and throw it out there, but you have to have like
to the venue to play it as well.
Organic growth, you know, like so kudos to any organizers who actually let younger bands start out, because I think that's very, very important, you know.
Well, I can't think of a better way to end this interview. That was really well said, and I couldn't agree more. And thanks a lot for taking the time, and congratulations to another fucking fabulous album.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.